Welcome to Padres Talking Padres. We have two Padres here today. Jeremiah is out of town, which, to be fair, so am I. But, Jerry and I are actually recording from the same locale. I'm just in another room. We tried to do it in the same area, but it just was the echo, Charlie.
Echo.
So how's it going, Jerry?
Doing well. Doing a lot better, as you know. Been a little under the weather.
You sound a little better.
I sound a lot better. About 2 days ago, I couldn't hardly talk. So some people would say that's a good thing.
I wasn't going to say that, but I'm sure a lot of people did.
But no, what a great time to be a Padre fan, right? I mean, come on.
Like 5-1. I'll be honest with you. I know we didn't pick our wins and losses last week. I guess we forgot. I don't know what happened, but I guess the producer last week dropped the ball. But I would not have picked 5-1.
No, you knew the Giants series was going to go well, or at least we thought so. I think there was a little bit of revenge factor in that with the, having dumped 2 out of 3. I think the Padres had a little extra oomph going into that series. But the Astro series was cool. Yeah. Come on. I mean, the atmosphere, just the whole back and forth, and
I can hear him, but he froze on me.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. Okay.
So for our audience, what is out there, forgive us for any technicalities here. We're working remotely here, so this is going to be a challenge.
But again, they could have won all 3 against the Astros.
Very much so. Yeah, that second game was it was weird. It was just weird how that 8th and 9th and 10th, it just was really weird,
what were your thoughts of Altuve getting thrown out for taking off his shoe?
Well, I think anytime you show up the umpire, he did it on purpose. I mean, come on, you're doing it to show up the umpire. It's just that, in the grand scheme of things, come on, like, did you need to do that? Show him your toe and all that, yeah.
Well, I think his manager should have gotten him away from. He didn't need to be there at that point.
Well, that's what managers are supposed to do, as well as another player, right? I mean,
we've seen Manny
step in a few times,
or another coach. They should have got him away. I mean, that could have cost them a win.
Yep.
I mean, they ended up winning, but personally, I was like going. The umpire had a pretty bad night, from what I had to go back and rewatch it because I was exhausted and actually went to sleep after the 4th inning, I think.
Yeah.
And slept through all the way to like 5:30 in the morning. And I went, oh, they lost. Oh, I saw your tweet and your text and Jay's text. And I went, oh, it must have been a heartbreaker because I think one of you put heartbreaker.
Yeah.
And I go, well, I wouldn't have thrown him out for it. I just would have ignored him. But that manager,
I think he tried to, but when he came around and, started showing him his foot and everything, again, you just don't show up umpires. You could have easily made your point. You already did. Hey, it hit my foot. It hit my foot. Nobody else saw it. You watch the replay. I will say this. Manny says, believe the player. Why would he? It's like when somebody gets hit by a pitch, a lot of times the player sells it or, emphasizes it because they got hit. And then sure enough, in slow motion, it's like you can see the tick and it's like, no, it's me. I know I got hit,
Yeah.
So, do I believe it hit his toe? Probably did, but
what I find surprising, it's not reviewable.
Yeah, I agree. He asked the other umpires and the other umpires said, no, I didn't see anything. And again, when they showed the replay, it could have gone either way. I mean, if it did tick him, which I believe it did, but if it did, boy, it was very, very minute.
Yeah. I mean, I thought I saw the ball kind of change direction.
Yeah.
But like Michael said, the umpires were horrible. I thought they didn't have it wasn't a great series for the umpire, especially that game, because they ruled that Profar got hit in the bottom of the 10th. And I don't think
wasn't even close.
No, I don't think he did. And after they reviewed it, they still said, okay. I was like going, okay, he doesn't even. I mean, it does. The ball keeps going the same. I mean, it was. I mean, it was, I guess, close, but clearly the video showed it didn't hit him, and I'm just like going, yeah, whatever.
I thought, well, is the umpiring crew in New York looking through the House of Mirrors or something? Because
yeah,
I mean, they showed it, and you could tell he's at least 2 or 3 inches away from him, at least.
I think what they need to do on this review thing is we need to hear the discussion from New York and hear what they're saying and what there's I mean, we're seeing something. Do they have another angle we didn't see? Do they have? I mean, what's their thought process on? I think that would eliminate if you have transparency, that would eliminate a lot of the problems going on. You know, I mean,
it's a fine edge though, because I understand they're trying not to make the umpires look bad, or
I get it,
that, you know, but yeah, I you know, bottom line is that, you know, umpires are pretty doggone good. I'd say on the in-out calls, boy, the ones that do get overturned are literally split second.
Oh yeah,
too fast for the human eye. You know, my biggest beef with umpires is the consistency of the strike zone. And, you know, Michael mentioned it, that the horrible. I thought the umpiring, the home plate umpiring on the third game was excellent.
Yes.
And I said that we were talking earlier today. I say that because they were not giving the low strike to anybody, but yet they were giving the strike about an inch above the box consistently. And that's all you ask for. Forget whether it lights up or doesn't light up. The bottom line is that umpire had a higher strike zone by a ball, but his lower strike zone, he didn't compensate. You know, so
that's what.
If you got to, sometimes you do have to tip your hat at a guy that's got that kind of consistency.
What every player in any sport has ever said is, okay, what's the rules going in? Yeah. What? And like you said, he was consistent. And I think that's what helps Cease, because Cease loves the high strike.
Yeah.
And when he's getting, you notice the games he's good at, he's getting the high strike call, because he's hard.
Called the same way all the way through the game, right?
And when he's not getting it, he struggles.
Yeah. Right.
But he was getting it, and because he's almost unhittable with that pitch.
Yeah.
He locates
I think the consistency does matter, because, you know, I always go to basketball. You know, what's a foul in the first minute of the game versus what a foul is in the end of the game. And the same thing with the strike zone. Don't broaden it. Don't shrink it. Just like call it the way it is the whole way through. And I don't see anybody will argue. I think the biggest beef that the players have is the outside inside. I think that's where they really have a problem with the strike zone. Being a little too liberal, you know, when you start getting too far to left or inside or outside, because the players kind of look at that, that's not hittable. You know, you keep pulling out a strike. I can't hit that.
Right.
Nobody can. You know, when you go 2 inches outside, it's like, okay, I can't reach that. You know, yet you're calling it a strike.
Especially when it's tailing away. You know, it's different if it's going straight.
Yeah. Right.
But if it's tailing away,
sweeper,
it's unhittable. I'd like to welcome Joel from New York, Dominican Padre fan, 13 Machado, the king of San Diego Padres. Yes, welcome aboard.
Yes. Yeah.
I was going to say, when going back when I was reffing hockey, every USA Hockey Clinic said, okay, you got to be careful on that first penalty you call.
Right.
Because if you call something that's you could let it go, not let it go. If you call it, you have to call that penalty all game long, or you're just going to get nothing but crap from the referees. But anyway, let's get back to the Padres. We got our stress level last week. My stress level was 8. I said yesterday, now it's 5.5. Might be joking a little bit. You said it's a 1 now because
I feel very comfortable, Jack. I mean, come on. I mean, you got 9 games left. Your magic number is 5. So even if the Braves, that's specific to the Braves would have to go 9-0, you'll still only need to win 5 to get your playoff spot.
Okay. And we have the White Sox coming up. You know, okay, we should win. I'll be honest with you, we should sweep. The way we're playing, we should sweep.
We should sweep,
but I'll take 2 or 3, but we should sweep.
Yeah, and I think now we're starting to get into, you know, we said it last week. I rewatched our podcast from last week. I try to do that on a frequent basis as far as looking at that. I think more than anything, we are just now determining whether or not we can be first in the wild card, or if we can find some way to get in there to play the Dodgers for the division. They won again today, so they're now 4 in front of us.
Yeah.
It would be awesome if they were playing somebody, but the bottom line is we need to sweep them to have any chance to go for the division, and even at that, we still need help. So,
and again, going to that, since it's you're 4 games behind with 9 games left, do you go, okay, we're going to throw our best starting pitchers at the Dodgers so we can hope to catch them, or do you play, okay, we need to go into the playoffs, strong. So I'm personally, I'm not going to kill my starting staff at a chance to win the division.
Well, it's already lined up. We're going to have 3 of our best starters going.
I get it, but again, do you go 7 innings with each pitcher? I mean, it just,
yeah. I always say make the playoffs first, you know, and get to a point where it doesn't matter, because I'm still wary of the Diamondbacks and the Mets. I'm more worried about them than I am the Dodgers. The Dodgers, tip your hat. They set themselves up for an easier run at the end of the season because they won in the middle of the season and the beginning of the season. I think if there's a downside of the Padres this year, you'll look back at the first half, how many blown opportunities they had by the bullpen in the first half versus the second.
De Los Santos, Matsui,
and so giving away those 3 or 4 games at the beginning of the season, just used to always say this. There's a lesson in that, right? That means that those first 3 or 4 series you have at the beginning of the year, sometimes it sucks because you look back and go, remember that one? Remember when we went to Colorado and got swept? Remember when we gave away that?
Well, the game against Detroit,
4-run lead, and
the game against Detroit where Suarez gave up we had a 3-run lead in the 9th, and he gave up the grand slam. But we were watching the first video. You were watching the first video today we did, and I remember saying, on paper, this bullpen is solid, and it turned out it wasn't. It wasn't because you had, like I said, De Los Santos, you had Peralta was struggling, Matsui really struggled in the beginning, and there were some other guys that are no longer on the team that struggled. It was the trades that Preller made at the trading deadline that turned this team around. I mean, that bullpen was, getting a rise was early in the season was just money, but it was the bullpen that really solidified this team, and people are talking. You get the hype, you get all the talking heads now. The Padres, you don't want to play them. I agree, you don't want to play them.
Yeah, and it's funny though, and it goes to show you how you have to adjust on the fly, because going into the season, I'm pretty sure that everybody, the baseball world, looked at the Padres bullpen and said, "Wow, that's a really good bullpen."
Yeah.
And then again, 2 months into the season, you're going, "Wow, our bullpen sucks right now." Yeah. And so it came along a little bit when Estrada ended up with 15 strikeouts in a row, became an integral part. Morahan, was pitching well at the time. We let go. Matsui has straightened up a little bit, but then you make those second half deals, like you said, the trading deadline. You no longer have De Los Santos giving up home run balls every time he comes in. I think that's the biggest thing about our bullpen that has improved is, it's locked down no matter what, but man, the home runs have just stopped.
Yeah.
Like they just don't give up home runs. And I will say that about our entire pitching staff. You're reading today, the last 5 games, starters are, 0.93, 30 innings pitch. I mean, like everything just says we're locked down right now.
Well, you had people saying, well, it was just the Giants. Well, you did it to the Astros, and the Astros are they're a good team. I mean, they could win it all. So,
well, they've been to the ALCS 5 years in a row. So
right.
Yeah, good proving point. No doubt about it.
And how cool was the back to back to back?
Back to back to back. Yeah.
I would have loved.
I was really happy for Donnie Barrels.
Yeah,
Those are the ones. I love that nickname. Grant gave him that, I believe. But yeah, Donnie Barrels, I think that's what makes this team special is you see the guys get even more excited for the guys like Solano and Peralta and Higgy and it's probably a bad way to look at it, but the second tier guys, the guys who don't get to play all the time. And when they succeed, it's almost more of a boost to the team than it is if, Manny did it again. Oh, yeah, Jackson Merrill hit another home run. Okay, I think that's great. I think that's what makes team chemistry because it's not just one guy.
What I liked is a lot of Padre fans are stressing out, and to be fair, you have new Padre fans, and I'm not calling them bandwagoners, but bandwagon fans, but they're just you discover the team, they're fun to watch. Yeah. And then, but I was watching, I'm on Twitter a lot, and I'm on Twitter as I'm watching the game. And after Tatis struck out, oh my God, he's terrible. Da, 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 da. And then he comes up, boom. Yeah. I mean, Tatis will look bad at times.
Yeah,
he just will. You just have to be patient with it. It can be frustrating. You think, okay, here's a guy that has all the talent in the world. I mean, but nobody bats 1,000.
Well, the biggest mistake was that we were going back and forth on our text last night. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm some kind of a prophecy kind of guy and everything, but I was texting you after his third strikeout in a row. I even said, I texted, I don't know why anybody would ever throw him anything but a curveball or a sweeper. Yeah. The first pitch the reliever threw Fernando was a fastball right down the middle.
And he deposited it into the outfield.
It's like, man, dude, either you got some bad info or you're not watching the game because, and he lit it up, Tatis is a free swinger, and there's nothing wrong with that. It just means that sometimes you're just not going to quite get the result. I think my only beef with Tatis is, and I think he's been better this year, is know the situation. There are times that I want you freewheeling up there and trying to hit one out. There are times. But man, that game we lost, we had first and third and nobody out, and Arise came up and hit a little weak grounder. Tatis swung at 3 outside pitches when it's like, dude, just find a way to get one in the air. I mean, wait till he comes in a little bit. I almost would have preferred to see him strike out, getting called strike 3, on a pitch way outside. Just that's the frustrating part. It was situational.
It was a bad at bat.
It was a horrible at bat. It was probably one of his worst at bats of the year. Every one of those pitches was a foot and a half outside.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's where we were talking earlier today. I said he needs to learn. I mean, he's only 24. Yeah. I mean, and he missed a whole season. He missed a lot of time this season. Yeah. So he's still relatively, he's a new player, even though he's been in the league for about 5 years. He could, because you watch Manny. Manny he still swings at that low pitch once in a while, but it's not as bad. It's not as bad. He's making people pitch to him.
Right.
And that's what the really good players do. Great players do. You make the pitcher, okay, this guy's not swinging at my crap outside.
Right.
I always said about Kershaw, I go, if you can not swing at Kershaw's stuff in the dirt, if you make him come over the plate, you're going to pound him.
Yeah.
I know it's hard to do. I mean, it's deceiving. You see a ball go, it looks like a strike but you're saying that game that we lost, none of those pitches ever were a strike.
Right.
But he's,
you make up a good point there, Jack. On my way to the airport to pick you up, the Padres show on our local station goes an hour about, the this and that about the Padres. And Tony Gwynn Jr. was one of the guest hosts on it. And he was talking about Toddy, and he says, the maturity level is there, but a lot of people just don't remember or tend to forget. He was out for a long time. So a lot of these guys have had 400, 500 at bats this year, right. And he's still kind of finding his way. He kind of he's in the first month of his season.
Exactly.
So maybe his eye isn't as good as it will be. But I think if there was any criticism from any of us is said at the beginning of this year, I need to see a full year of Fernando Tatis. I hope next year is the start of it, but these half years and years, and
last year
it's frustrating.
Last year almost had a full year, but he was still suspended for like 23 or 24
games.
Yeah. So hopefully he can stay healthy, because I think if he stays healthy, he's going to put together an MVP type season. He's already there defensively. I mean, I love having him and Merrill center field and right field, because they cover a lot of ground.
Oh yeah.
A lot of ground. It's like that play he made, we were talking about today, the play he made against the Giants, where they had the relay at home. I love Peralta, but that's a run. If Tatis isn't out there, it's a run.
I mean, defense matters.
Yeah.
Well, our friend Hassan Kim, who unfortunately I'm not sure if he's coming back this year, but
no.
We said the same thing about him. It's like, hitting wise, could he be better? Yeah. A little frustrating, but man, when a guy plays solid defense and at shortstop, kind of hard to, not want him out on the field and everything, and I'm not saying it because I don't think Bogaerts is a good, shortstop, but look at that play last night, man. That could have been a game-ending double play. Boom, boom.
Well, he also had the leadoff hit. He, who knows if he could have got it? Would have been a bang bang play.
Yeah.
But he bobbled the throw. But you just brought up something that's I was been thinking about. Okay, say Kim comes back, do you start him? Because right now, with Solano at first base, the offense is clicking again. So
probably not, only because I just don't think right now is you get your 10 days before the playoffs.
Yeah,
I just don't think it's time to bring somebody back that hasn't been playing up to this point. Now, if somebody came in the news and said tomorrow that Kim's coming back, well, I do. I think you put him at short. I think you put Bogaerts back at second and put Cronenworth at first. The one thing that Shildt has mastered this year is how to use his bench. So I'm not worried about hurting anybody's feelings like a Solano or a Peralta if they don't get any playing time.
Well, you know what? I don't think this team has those kind of egos.
No, not at all.
I think the bench players know their role. I'm just saying the way Solano's been hitting all season, I like his bat and the lineup and scoring runs, but I also like Kim's defense at short. So it's kind of do you maybe you start Bogaerts at short, and then if you're in the playoffs, if you say you're up by a run or two, then you bring Kim in defensively, and then maybe move Bogaerts back to second, and then Cronenworth back to first, because Cronenworth is a better defensive first baseman than Solano. So there's at least there's moves you can do.
Yeah.
I also like to see Peralta get in the game too as a DH, but with Arraez, you're not gonna have Peralta over Arraez.
Right.
So it's a fun thing. It's a good thing situation that Shildt's in, because he has a lot of options. The bench it's probably one of the strongest benches they've had ever.
Yeah, it's a good, we say it's a good problem to have, no doubt about it. I think Solano's good. I think Peralta's good, but you got to play your top line guys. I mean, again, Tony Gwynn Jr. said today, it's like, no, you're at that time of the year right now with your playoff push. There's no more moving guys in for day. You had today off. You're going to have next Thursday off. You got plenty of rest time now.
Oh yeah.
So there's really no reason for you to start sitting guys down and I think in some ways, I've always said this, I never want to go down the last day to figure out if I make the playoffs, but I want my team to be playing for something as far as you can, because, the Dodgers clinched the playoff spot today, and that's great. Yeah, don't get me wrong. When you're the guy, great. But they have to play for something still. But if you've some of these years where somebody's clinched, the first round bye, and they got 7 days to go, I just think it just brings stale. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna play the last 7 games, and we're giving guys got some time off. And oh, by the way, we're going to have 5 more days off after that, before the next series starts and everything. So, it's proven out, the best records don't always do really well.
So what do you think should happen? Should no team get a bye?
I'm not a huge fan of the playoff system as it is now. I realize it brings more teams in and everything like that, but and not every year is as good as this. I mean, National League right now is got 4 teams fighting for 3 spots. Of course, that's exciting and everything, but yeah, the whole some teams get a bye, 3-game series. And of course that's what happens when you have 6 teams make the playoffs. So you got to figure out some way. I think Darnell Sirla said, "Man, am I glad they got rid of that one playoff game, garbage." And I couldn't agree with that more. That was the only thing that made me happy about this new playoff system, is at least you got rid of that. But
because it makes the
I think it makes for better baseball if it's at least a 5-game series. You got to have time.
Well, I like because I was listening to Mad Dog's Russo. He was saying he liked the 1-game play-in. I'm saying because he didn't like the regular season. What if you played in April? I go, but it makes the regular season more important. We beat the Dodgers, the season series, even with 3 games coming up. So if it came to a tie, I don't like that 1-game play-in. I never liked it because anything can happen.
Yeah.
So I do like the fact that it makes the regular season more important. Me personally, what I would do too is if you have the best record in baseball, you should get something like an extra 1st-round pick, maybe an extra 2nd-round pick too.
Yeah.
Something to give incentive to win, because a lot of people, we're saying, if you finish in a wild card, depending on your wild card, maybe an extra 3rd, an extra 4th-round pick. People might say that's not that big a deal. Well, if you look at it, if you draft right, it is a big deal. Just something to keep the people, keep teams motivated, and maybe punish the teams that finish always in last. If you're always rebuilding,
I think that's the bigger issue. I know the NBA recognized that by making a lottery and not making it automatic and things like that. I don't know. I don't want to get too far away from tradition. If you have the best record and you're the number 1 seed, you get all the home games in your favor. I think that's a pretty big reward. You're always going to get the first 2 games and then the last 2 games if you need them. That's a pretty big deal. It doesn't always pan out, but that's a pretty good, big deal that if you do get to games 6 and 7, it's at your home.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I think 4 is enough. And I'm not just saying that because the Padres are the 4th right now, but I've just always believed that just 4 is enough.
Yeah, but money wise,
no, I lose that argument. Yeah, Major League owners. I won't be surprised if 10 years from now we don't have 8 teams in each league in the playoffs.
Because it comes down to the salary. There's no salary cap, and you have disparity between one team spending $30 million, the other team spending $350. I mean, look at what the Dodgers spent this offseason.
Yeah,
well over $1 billion in contract.
$1 billion.
And they have. I don't think they have. Do the Phillies still have the best record in the National League?
It's so close, but yes, I think they are by 1 game. I believe.
I mean, but they're out there. They're complaining about the injuries. Well, you didn't plan. Your farm system's no longer feeding your team.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at it, they could always pull someone from the.
Yeah. Historically, the Dodgers have had one of the strongest.
They had that Miller. They finally sent him down, and I'm like going. To be honest, I'm thinking, what took so long?
Yeah,
it just took so long. But you look at get off the Dodgers again, but going back to the Padres, the playoffs. I think we talked about last week. Does Matsui make the team?
Yeah.
Does he? Is he on? I mean, because he has.
They're going to carry all the relievers they can. I mean, that's the big part. When you make up your roster, you look at your perceived extras right now. In fact, they're talking that Lockridge will probably make the playoff roster over Tyler Wade because he can play. He's a normal center fielder. He's just as fast as Tyler Wade.
He might be faster.
Yeah, yeah. He's a blur. Solano and Peralta are your righty lefty options, no doubt about it. So there's your 12 guys, and then you got your backup catcher. That's 13. You're probably going to have. That's probably going to be it. You're going to have your backup catcher, your backup infielder, so to speak, in Solano or Arise, whichever way you want to go. Your backup outfielders are Peralta and Lockridge, and so that if my math is right, that still leaves you about 13 pitchers.
Yeah,
and you got your 5 starters, and then you count the bullpen off, and there's 8 of them. So now whether or not they get used, I mean, we've seen enough playoff series our life. A lot of times you got 3 guys, and the only time you ever see them is if you're in the divisional series of a 13-1 game, and oh, he's still with the team. Oh, okay, because they brought somebody in like that. Yeah. So
I agree with Michael. I have kind of a love-hate relationship with Matsui because at times he's looked really good, and at times he's looked really bad. I mean, he's just inconsistent, and you can't have a guy it's like having Peralta. I wouldn't feel comfortable with Peralta coming into a game that was, I mean, I counted on him early in the season because he was so good with the Yankees, but it's like I don't know.
Yeah. And you're talking about Wandy Peralta.
Yeah, Wandy Peralta. I think another thing too you have to look at. Okay, the team we're facing in the playoffs, are they good at hitting left-handers, or do they struggle against hitting left-handers?
The good thing is we've got Tanner Scott. Obviously, he's our number 1 left-hander. Morahone has been efficient. I'm not 100%, fine with him. But yeah, if we have to go to another one, then if it's Matsui or Peralta, I'm taking Matsui. We've talked about this a lot. In fact, I think Preller has done one of his best jobs as it comes around, but he's still made some mistakes this year.
Oh yeah,
Wanda Peralta has been a bust, and he's with us for another couple of years,
unless he opts out.
Yeah.
But be fair, I got to be honest with you. When he made that sign, I go, that's a good middle reliever pitcher. I mean, that's a good 6.
Yeah, I never felt pitcher. That way.
I did because the way he pitched, he had success in New York, and I'm like, well, if you can be successful in New York under that pressure cooker, but he's just been, I'll be fair, I didn't really watch him in New York. I just looked at his stats and said, okay, that's adding to the bullpen depth. And I looked at Matsui. I go, obviously, I had never seen him pitch before, but I go, okay, he's got all those saves, and it just
I've never been confident with Matsui either. After watched him pitch a couple of times, I'm like, okay, what about him is so special that they thought it would translate to the major leagues?
Yeah,
his fastball's 92, 94. He's got a curveball, but to me, it's a very
it floats over.
It's just a very, what do you call it? It's the same shape every time.
Yeah, he's got that same lollipop thing,
and
I know people can't see us at home, but
yeah. Well, no, you got the curveball that sometimes is a little bit more drastic at the end, where it's just like, boom, it rolls over. Dylan Cease, that curveball goes 12, like that.
Yeah.
But his just seems to be just more of a very direct, boom, it comes in, boom, it comes in.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, he's one of those pitchers that has to be perfect.
Exactly.
And if he's not,
he's a location guy.
Yeah. And to me, it's like maybe he'd be better as a starter because I'm just saying because as a reliever, I just don't have confidence in him coming in with if we're up by 1 or down by 1.
I have no problem with location pitchers, Jack, as long as they got something to back it up.
Yeah.
So if you got a 95, 97 mile an hour fastball and then you have a sweeper or whatever that you need to locate to get people out, I got no problem with that. I guess that's my problem with him is, okay, tops out at 92, 93 miles an hour. So that's all location. Fastball, curveball, sweeper, whatever he's throwing, It's all location. So
maybe he needs to learn like a knuckle curve or something to make his fastball.
And he's just got the face that doesn't make me feel confident, man. He just always seems to have that.
Well, him and Peralta both. Him and Peralta both had that look like I'm gonna crap the bed tonight. Michael says Hoeing has been excellent, and I love
Hoeing, Adam, Scott, as they call them here in San Diego, ass. You got Adam, Scott, and Suarez to finish the game. Yeah.
It's just, and Suarez has struggled a little bit lately, but I'm a little shaky. I was a little shaky with him last couple of times, but I think he'll bounce back. I mean, everyone struggles.
Oh yeah, no, I mean Scott scuffled a little bit lately too. He had a couple of rough outings. No, it's going to happen. Bullpens like that. A lot of times people. Sometimes not me, but I mean, I sit there and think about it. It's like, okay, you bring a reliever in and they show his ERA as being 2.8 and everything. And you're like, that's okay. He's a reliever and everything. Well, yeah, because you start thinking about it, it's like, okay, that means he comes in 9 times for 1 inning each, and he gives up a run in 3 of those innings. Well, unfortunately, the bullpen has this extraordinary pressure cooker on them. It says giving up 1 run even is not a good outing.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I'm not sure that's fair.
Well, you look at some relievers, they have a 5 ERA, and you go, what the hell happened? Yeah. Well, they gave up 8 runs in a third of an inning.
But at this time of the year, though, Jack, I mean, if a guy's got his ERA over 3, you're like, okay, is that really that good? I mean, because a lot of times they're coming in and, they may be giving up another pitcher's runs. But the bottom line is, again, 9 innings, that means 3 times they're giving up a run or more,
right?
To get their ERA up there, So,
and if that's a starter, that's a great start.
Exactly.
They're going 9 innings, 3 runs. But see, exactly. The reliever's a different beast. So, again, the bullpen is there. If the starting pitching can pitch like they are right now, I mean, God,
yeah. How many times can you go through 5 games and have a 0.9 ERA?
Let's get fitted. Let's get those rings fitted right now because they're looking good.
And it kind of takes us to the, we are at that point of the season. I will say it, where I think Fangraphs got us like 99.5% chance of making the playoffs, and like Jay always says, it's like there's always something. It could always happen. Well, of course it can until you have clinched. Yeah.
As a San Diego fan.
Yeah.
I've been, obviously been burnt. Look at my hairline. I've been burned. We've all been burned a number of times. So I like to make sure, that okay, this is going to happen. I mean, the team. Let's face it. There's no way they shouldn't make the playoffs.
Right.
The Braves won today, right? Too.
Yeah, the Braves won today. The Dodgers had a slugfest in Miami, and Ohtani, tipped the cat. He got 50 home runs and 50 stolen bases, and I'm sure for the next 24-hour news cycle, all we'll hear about is that, and maybe that's rightfully so. But to me, it's a team game, and individual stuff is great for the individual. But my point is right now is okay. It looks like, as it stands right now, the Phillies and the Dodgers are going to be 1-2 or 2-1, whichever way. Not saying the Brewers can't get in there because they're only about 3 games behind those two, but but let's just say that were to happen. So that means Milwaukee would be the number 1 wild card seed, and right now we'd be number 2. The question I have for you, Jack, is who do you want to face?
To be honest with you, any team that makes the playoffs right now is going to be a good team, right? Yeah. I mean, it just who's playing better. The Dodgers and Diamondbacks don't have the pitching staff that I think can match the Padres.
Well, I'm talking about the first. I'm talking about the first round.
Game.
Yeah.
Well, who do I want to play? So Diamondbacks or Mets?
Diamondbacks, Mets, or Braves?
Braves. I'd rather. Well, the Braves still have good pitching.
Yeah.
They still have really good pitching. I would probably go with the Diamondbacks, I guess, because the Mets scare me because they've been playing. I mean, anytime it's like the Padres and Diamondbacks when there is winning. That has to scare you. So yeah, long story short, I would go with the Diamondbacks, even though I wouldn't be going into the series. Okay, we should win this one easily.
Yeah,
because they do have a very good offense.
Yeah. So I've kind of got twisted on this one. Started thinking about it the other day. So here's my theory. I don't think I want to play the Diamondbacks first, and here's why. Because we're going to play them the last 3 games of the series of the season, and I'm a little worried about getting too familiar with our bullpen those last 3 games. I don't know if they'd see the same starters, but the whole sameness, even though if it came to San Diego instead of there, kind of thing. I'm a little worried about that. I hope the Braves overtake the Mets because that's who I would rather face. I would rather face the Braves, and I know that's a really good team, like you said.
Well, it's their pitch. You got Chris Sale, he's tough.
Yeah, he's dynamite. But Arizona's hitting just scares the crap out of me.
They do have great hitting, but their pitching.
So but they got Nelson. Is coming back. Kelly is rounded out into form. Zach Gallen, we know, can be hit or miss, but again, it's a 3-game series, so you don't really need 3 studs. I like our pitching staff. I really do. I love our pitching staff. I think next to the Phillies, I think we're second in starting pitching. I think I'm an idiot if I don't recognize the Phillies having the better pitching with Wheeler, Nola, Sanchez. Come on. Those guys are lights out right now. Have been all year.
Well, Nola got bombed the last time out.
Yeah, but again, that happens to any pitcher. Somebody could say the same thing if they were holding a Phillies talk show and talking about the Padres. But remember Musgrove gave up 6 runs to the Giants, in one inning.
Well, the thing with Nola though, his dad only has to wear one shirt this time.
Yeah. So I think the Mets. I think we should beat the Mets if we played them. I think we caught them I should say it the other way around. I think they caught us at a bad time in our season. We were hurt. I think that's just about time when Musgrove went out, if I recall right. We were kind of hurting on starters. I think I just remember I was in Raleigh at the time, and I just remember thinking, man, we're just, weren't playing well. But there seem to be more reasons to it than I can remember right now.
Well,
I just think that I look at that
some problem.
Yeah, I look at that team and I say, yes, they've got a couple of really good players, no doubt about it. And at that time, Manaea was pitching lights out. We got beat by Quintana, who at that time was not pitching that well. I know in the past, it's always been about left-handed soft throwers. I don't think that's a problem this year. I got to go let my dog. I got to go let a dog in. He's scratching my door here. I'll be right back. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll just babble on. Yeah, I think we've solved the left-handed problem. I don't think it's as bad as it was earlier in the year. But again, we shall see. His dog is not coming back. But yeah, I'm excited. It's been a great season. It's been a great season. So hopefully they continue to go. And I think I started. I don't know if I said or started to say I would have loved to have been at last night's game with those 3 back. The crowd was just. It was like a playoff atmosphere. They were just.
It's been electric all year, though, Jack. Yeah. And I'm being honest. I know we're San Diego fans and everything, but I forget. Last night I think it was like their 55th or whatever sellout of the year. Other teams have come in on a Tuesday, Wednesday, and they're just looking around, going, "Okay, like this is ridiculous. It's Tuesday, and you guys are drawing sellout crowds and all that." You've talked about it many years. We're both diehard San Diego fans all of our life. This city is just wants a good team so bad.
Yeah.
And I hope that we recognize that making the playoffs is That's all you can try for, you know. Only one team out of the 12 will win the World Series. I hope we can at least generate a run out of it. Don't get me wrong. Would I be disappointed if they didn't get past the first round? Absolutely. I would absolutely be disappointed. But if you get to the second round or the third round and you lose, are you really going to call this season a failure? I know the players would tell you that. I would.
Yeah.
I cringe at the days that me and you used to go to the ballpark and knowing that we were less than a 50-50 chance to win any game every time we went.
Well, you went to watch Trevor Time.
Yeah.
Tony Gwynn.
Yeah.
And before that, it was Dave Winfield.
Nate Colbert.
Nate Colbert. I mean, well, as a kid, I went because it was fun to go to the ballpark and root on my team. I didn't realize how, looking back on it being 7 and 8, I didn't realize they were so bad.
Yeah.
Kept thinking, Dad, are they going to make the playoffs? He goes, no.
Yeah.
You should be a Cardinal fan. Like,
well, and even in recent, memory, I'm talking about more like the 6 to 10 year. How many times in May, Jack, were we already turning over to something else? I mean, I'm a pretty diehard Padre fan, but I remember many a year I get to about June and I'd kind of quit watching the games. It's just like we were already, 15, 20 games out of first place, and it's not even Memorial Day. And you're like, we have no chance here.
For me, it was frustrating when they were out of it and they didn't have young players to watch. Okay, let's watch this guy like a Merrill. I mean, obviously Merrill's. But someone like a Khalil Greene, someone who was, okay, I can root for this guy. Maybe this guy will take off. But there was years you're like going, they were just picking up this the dumpster fire, whatever they call it. I'm drawing a blank on it. But there were players who are like going, okay, this guy shouldn't even be in the majors anymore, and why is he starting every game for us? I go, you want me to pay? You want me to buy the Major League Baseball package or go to the games and stuff like that when they're playing? And again, I'm diehard, and I went to games, as a kid, and as a teenager and young adult, because that was the thing to do.
The biggest draw for San Diego fans for a year was because of our beautiful weather.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was just a nice night and like, oh, let's go sit out in the left field bleachers and watch a game for $3.50 and I can sit anywhere I want. I don't even have an assigned seat. Just go out there and find an empty row somewhere and watch a ball game, eat a good hot dog and a Coke and
spend $5.
But that was the draw. There was just really, you're right. I mean, I remember going to games going, okay, who am I really watching here? I mean, and again, I held back to when, my dad used to take me and Johnny Grubb, man, sweet swinging Johnny Grubb. And he
Number
was
11
one of the guys that liked to
Hernandez.
But this team is exciting to watch. It's fun to watch. It's fun to have expectations that your team is going to do well, and I'm glad that we're not the Dodgers where we've just bought this billion-dollar team and things like that. And I know we've spent quite a bit of money, or not we, but the Padres spent quite a bit of money. But I think that they've also piecemealed together a pretty good team of the guys who aren't getting paid the huge contracts,
And I know,
and that's not. And my wish would be that all of baseball could spend the same amount of money. Me and you used to do a quasi-rotisserie baseball league, and one of the things that was good about that league is that everybody had a certain amount of salary to use, and you had to get creative on how you used it. If you wanted to go pay for Barry Bonds, then you gotta, where else are you going to cut some money then, right? And I think
it also hurt. It also showed that if you had a cap, I think it was like 20,000, whatever it was, 20 million, 20,000. That if you spent like $9 million on one guy, okay, not only you got 11 million to fill up all these other spots,
right?
And it shows. Again, I say to the Dodgers, their farm system's not doing it. They've had a lot of injuries, but they didn't prepare for it.
Yeah,
they could have got what they paid Matt.
Well, they kind of surprised me, Jack, and I'll go back a few years when they started spending this kind of money because that's not been the Dodgers for a long time. I don't know what's changed their philosophy, quite honestly, because the Dodgers, one thing, like I said, you always, what next man up. I mean, look, let's go back to a trade that they let Corey Seager walk away. I thought they were nuts.
Yeah.
Like, wow, you're not going to pay Corey Seager like he's your shortstop of the future. And sure enough, he is. I mean, I know he's had a few injury problems, but like, who's their shortstop now?
Rojas. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, that's just
for a while. But what they used to do, and they did for a number of years, is they would trade their young players in the minors who had these great stats.
Yeah.
I mean, look what they got. Mookie Betts, Verdugo, and I can't remember who else. But basically, the Red Sox really screwed up on that trade.
Yeah.
And they gave
just because they weren't willing to pay Mookie.
Yeah, and and I know the Padres were trying to go after him too, but you got a guy like Mookie Betts, who we've said, it seems like the nicest guy in the world. I can't hate him, which bugs me because he's a Dodger.
Yeah, him and Freddie Freeman.
Freddie Freeman was a good signing, but like you said, they never used to go out and get. They used to let Garvey go. They let Say go. I mean, they let
very unusual. And again, it's just a change of philosophy, and maybe they just figured the marketing rights were worth it. Obviously, Ohtani was something they had on their radar for a couple of years. They knew what they were saving for, so to speak.
And that's financial.
And I know this year's not over, but it'll be interesting to see how they react in the free agent market next year. It'll be similar to what I really not that anxious, because I don't want the season to be over, but I'm really anxious to see what the Padres do this offseason.
Yeah.
Because it really is going to be, are you going to go become the player again? Or was this luxury tax exercise a little bit more towards, no, this is going to be our normal salary now. We're not going to go into the 250 million, 300 million range again.
Well, we were saying before we recorded that, the pitching, on paper, there's not a lot of spots open.
Yeah, Darvish, Musgrove, King, and Cease are all back next year.
Yeah, and if you want to sign Martinez, not Martinez?
No.
Martin
Perez.
Martin Perez, I'm sorry.
Perez, yeah.
I was thinking Pedro Martinez. No, I'm
I wish.
I would. He said the other day, he goes, he would love to come back. I mean, here's a guy that's only played for.
Of course, this is also somebody that was almost out of baseball too. So of course,
true, but he's pitched well.
I think the same thing can be said about Solano and Peralta, that they would probably come back in a heartbeat.
And I would re-sign Profar, but not a huge contract.
Yeah. So that's the other thing. It's like right now, your infield, you have Arise, Cronenworth, Bogarts, Machado, all under contract. Tatis, Merrill, under contract. You literally left field and catcher are the only spots open.
I told you I want to trade for Cal Raleigh from Seattle. Yeah.
Those are the only two spots open because our bullpen's the same way. Yeah. Tanner Scott's not under contract, but Suarez, Morejon, Hoeing, Adam.
Oh, who's the other tall rookie?
Sean Reynolds.
Yeah. Has looked really good.
So this is a team that is really pretty set for the next year, Now, after that, of course, you got the Cease, the Rise. You got a couple other contracts. But for next year, so I'll put my prediction out there. I'll be surprised if the Padres don't go out and get one more big free agent. I think I don't think it has to be a catcher. I don't think it has to be an outfielder. I hope it would be an outfielder. Quite honestly,
would you be willing to go out and pay money for Snell?
Snell worries me. I love that guy. I don't think it benefits your team to sign him to what he's asking for, some 7-year, $250 million contract.
But I'm pretty listening to him talk. I think he wants to come home,
and I wouldn't be surprised if you're right. But a lot of guys have left saying, "I wish I could stay with San Diego, but they didn't offer me what I wanted."
But he did go out and get the big cut. But now he knows the team from last season, and he sees how much fun they're having this season. And he's a guy that likes to have fun. He's a
I don't disagree with that. Yeah.
And he likes to win. Maybe he takes a little less, takes the San Diego discount because he's loved in San Diego. He gets commercial endorsements. I mean, I don't think
the San Diego discount
works anymore.
It works anymore. No, I really don't.
You put him.
I think it does and here's where I think the benefit has come in, Jack. It's funny you bring this up because I was thinking about this the other day. The perceived San Diego discount. I don't call it the San Diego discount anymore. It's the desire to play in San Diego when you're one of those guys towards the end of your career and you won a championship. It's like that's a place, and I think that's why Solano came to us. I think that's why Peralta signed with us. Martin Perez, wants to be here. Of course they want to be here. Does Martin Perez want to go start, the last year of his career with the Chicago White Sox? No.
Or he left Pittsburgh.
Right.
So we got him.
So these guys are looking for the opportunity to put the ring on the finger. So that's the benefit to me. The Dodgers show it all the time. I mean, they went Tommy Edman, who's like Babe Ruth now.
Now
that's what you get out of being a winning team, though, is people want to play for you.
Yeah, I said last week that Edmonds needs to pee in a cup. He needs to pee in a cup. I mean, he's hitting home runs like you said, he's Babe Ruth, and
he's
Shohei Ohtani.
When he was with St. Louis, he was a heck of a thorn in the side of the Padres back in his heyday. But I've never seen him hit this many home runs. It was just like,
I was listening to a Dodger game. And they said, watching the Dodgers play, and they say what he's done, he's changed the way he moves his hips.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, okay, I still want him to pee in a cup. But it could be, but he's not a big guy. But no. I guess you look, it is what it is. All right, another question: who is the Padres MVP?
Wow. It's funny. In years past, the MVP question would have been just so easy to answer. It's so easy to answer. So I'm going to go with Manny, and I think the big reason is the guy's the captain, and there's no doubt about it. And when you put his numbers up next to Profar and Merrill, who would be my other candidates, he's over them. In home runs and RBIs, and his defense is just locked down. But I'll tell you what, I don't know where we'd be with any one of the three of those this year.
Yeah, it is tough, and
you're leaving out guys like Luis Arraez, and Fernando for what he's been here, kind of thing. It's just, again, what makes this team fun?
And King and Cease.
Yeah, I am not looking for one guy to solve the problems of the Padres. It's almost been delightful to say, oh, who's going to be the guy tonight? Tonight is Solano. Oh, tomorrow it's like, oh, Bogarts had a great game. Oh, now it's this guy. Higgy hits a home run. It's something we talked about so many times last year. The void in the 7, 8, 9, the back of the lineup, and how it just cost us time and time again. And it ain't happening this year. This is the most solid beginning to end lineup we've ever had. And I will say that.
I think that's why Schilt was hesitant to move Merrill up, because it was productive. But now he has Solano, and Cronenworth has been scuffed. He's struggling.
Yeah, he's
struggling, but he's so good defensively.
Yeah,
obviously and it can always click.
Yeah, I was looking at him the other last night, in fact. Before you guys came in, Jack. And I guess it wasn't super surprising, but his best month this year has been hitting 266.
Yeah.
That's his best month. Jake just, I think he swings for the fences still. I don't think he does what a lot of the other guys are doing.
I think he did in the beginning.
Yeah, I don't know. He's either that or he's reverted, but I'll still take Jake. I don't have it. People, we regret, we wish we would have never signed Jake for no, I like Jake. I'll keep him. I think it's like any player at the end of the year, he's going to have to kind of, visualize or go back and say, okay, so what can I do to get better?
And I think I still say when he's going the other way,
when
he's going with the pitch, he's better. Like you said, it seems like I can't remember last time he hit a home run, so I don't know why he's swinging for the fence. But
he's hit one in September. 1 in September, I think.
1 in September, and we're on. It's the
19th.
So and he has, for a second baseman, his stats are really good.
Yeah.
But for a first baseman, they're not. And that's me. Might be the position I always say, but but then I would, if you can, I would leave Bogaerts at first. I mean, it's short. Cron at second, and I'd go get a legitimate first baseman.
Yeah, and I think that's the way you could turn, because I think Kim's going to opt out.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to stay for the $7 million. He can get a lot more of that on the free agent market. I could be wrong. He seems to like his teammates here and he's gotten to know them. And I can imagine being from out of the country that maybe that might weigh more, not just because it's San Diego, but it's because it's the only home he's known.
Right.
So there may be some of that. He obviously, him and Profar are, thick as thieves,
and him and Manny.
Yeah. So, that may end up holding him here and everything. And I'm sure the Padres would gladly pay him the $7 million to stay here for another year.
Oh yeah. And he's, to be honest with you, it's $7 million. He's worth it.
Yeah.
I like him. I like him a lot.
Well, and Schultz done a great job this year of, of letting these guys know that DH is just a rotation, man. Manny, you get a day off. Arise, you get a day off. Cronenworth, you get a day. Tatis last night,
Yeah.
I think it's a wonderful thing. I know a lot of teams have solid DH, that's the guy. Yeah. But you know what? It's kind of restricting, because if you've got a guy that you don't want to put out in the field and he is your DH, then man, you're kind of cubbyholed, to what you can do with that DH spot. So
Hey, Michael. I don't know if you saw yesterday, the ball was hitting the Dodger dugout and Ohtani kind of, was like this, and the ball wasn't really close to him. You think it's because he doesn't play defense? He doesn't know how to judge. But okay, here's my final question tonight. Then we'll do the how we think the season's going to end type thing. They've been rumors out there that Dodgers are hurting for starting pitching. That they asked Dave Roberts, could Ohtani pitch in the playoffs? If you're the Dodgers, he's had 2 arm surgeries. Would you risk Ohtani pitching in the playoffs?
No. You can't. It's like telling somebody that it's going to be 3 months, that you got to get better, and it's 3 months, guy. It's not 3 months. That's it. And you hold them to that. And you get 2.5 months in, and you go, well, wait a minute. Does it really have to be exactly 3 months? How about we just go? No, if it was supposed to be the season, then it's the season. And why, if you're the Dodgers, would you risk putting a guy out there and to what end? Because here's my deal. Number one, he would have to build up his pitching. So I don't think it's going to happen.
Right. I don't think so either.
Now, so some people would say, oh, well, if you're going to use him, well, then you would use him for an inning or something like that. Really? Like, is that what you really need him for, is just an inning, So no.
Yeah, I agree. In fact, I'm on record saying I know Ohtani wants to pitch, and that's part of the deal. You have him, but again, he's had 2 major arm operations. A pitcher can only, your arm can only take so much. Body parts can only take so much. I personally would never pitch him again.
Yeah, I look forward to the day that they start pitching him next year, because that's one more day in the lineup that he's not going to be in there. So
he's such an offensive threat.
Yeah,
and he's going to be the MVP of the National League this year as a DH, which is unusual, because most people want to give the MVP to an everyday player, which I usually do, but you can't argue with the stats. So me personally,
forget the whole round numbers thing, as we always talk about. Come on. That guy's the best hitter in National League, if not in baseball. I know a lot of people are Aaron Judge fans, and he's the average and all that kind of stuff. But again, I always tell people, Really? Are you going to spend a lot of time trying to decide which one of the two guys are the best?
Well, be honest with you, if I would take either one on my team. So
yeah, exactly.
in a heartbeat. But that's just me personally. I'm not a Dodger fan. I'm not a doctor.
No.
But he's got 9 more years left on his contract after this. I think it's a risk. I'll just be honest. And I'm not jinxing, not wishing anything on him. I don't see how he can go 9 years healthy pitching when he's had.
And I'm not sure how long anybody expects anybody to play when they sign people to those contracts. You know,
right.
Yu Darvish has got a contract that's going to take him to 42.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's just a way of clubs saying, well, we're going to sign you to a 5-year deal, but, you know, in the back of our minds, we're thinking if you give us 3, we're just spreading out the money so that, you know, that we can, you know, don't have to take the hit on the cap. And I'm not saying that's what they did with Ohtani, but that's generally to me why long-term contracts work, is because you're basically saying, like Manny Machado, I think his contract's still 2008. He's going to be like 42 years old, you know. Well, do you expect him to go all the way to 42? No, probably not.
I do.
Yeah.
But
I'm just saying, though,
he preserves himself running to first base. So
yeah.
And let's answer Michael's questions here, because we were actually texting back and forth. Have you guys talked about Cease last start? Would you have left him in there that long, or pulled him to preserve his arm? We both said keep him in there.
Yeah, because he was only at 90-something pitches. He's pitched much longer than that.
And he should have been out of that. He should have been out of that inning with like 5 pitches. Yeah. Plus, you needed that win.
Yeah. Well, not only that, they gave him some extra runs to work with. So, you know, No, it's not that it's not a legitimate question, Michael, but you know, there is a danger or a possibility if you take out a guy that's pitching that well, and even just for 1 inning, you know, you put somebody else in, there's a danger and a risk to that. And I don't think it was worth it. So I think what they did with Cease was perfect. Yeah.
And he said it'd be fantastic to watch these older guys play someday. Well, it's around the corner. Yeah. So now let's finish up with, we got the White Sox for 3 and the Dodgers for 3. What record do you have going? I'll let you go first, Jerry.
Yeah, 5-1. I think I would love to go in and sweep the Dodgers. That's so hard to do. You know, and we've done it. I like I said, you know, kudos to the Dodgers. They put themselves in this position where they don't need to worry about, you know, the only thing they have to worry about is getting swept.
Right.
You know, and when you're in the lead and this late of the year, you know, all you got to do is go win 1 game and you're upset the apple cart as far as anybody taking you over. And I feel the same way about us in the wild card. You know, we went 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3 the rest of this season. We're the number 1 seed, you know, so number 1 wild card. So, I think 5-1 because, this is one of those few times I will be disappointed if we don't sweep the White Sox.
Where's Oz?
Oz isn't in the chat. Oz.
I'm going to go 5-1 also. Again, we should sweep the White Sox.
Yeah. And I think Jay said 2-4, something like that. Yeah.
The White Sox are just terrible.
They're that bad. They're that bad.
They're that bad, and the Padres are that good. Now, maybe if you get some big leads, you can, you know, rest some of the players. I mean, there's no reason to.
Well, I'm not there yet.
No, I'm saying I'm saying if it's 9-1, all right, take Profar out. He's got that bad knee. There's no reason. I mean, I want to nurse some players along that, you know, have some injuries, are a little dinged up. But you never know. If it's a close game, then no, you keep the guys in there because you got to win the games. You have to win.
And I'm not. I guess I'm just not that big on the little 2-inning rest. And I'm not saying don't do it, but I played enough, you know, in my youth. That doesn't really do a whole lot for you. Sitting out an inning in the field.
No, it doesn't. But I would. But
I think it's better if for the guys who are coming in to get in at bat. You know, so the only thing about the Padres though is who on that whole bench doesn't get an at bat here and there. You know, Lockridge probably, you know, he got to start the other day, but for the most part, you know, Solano and Peralta get to play, you know, here and there. So I don't think the way that Shilt's been running the lineup that anybody's just like void of an at bat for 12 games or something like that.
Do you give Peralta a start against the White Sox and give Profar the day off? Maybe because we're off on Monday, right?
No, we're off on Thursday.
Thursday, okay, that's when we go to LA. So maybe you give Profar the day off on Sunday, and let him play on. Just to, it doesn't hurt to get a little fresh.
Oh no, yeah. If it's the last home game of the season for the Padres,
you probably want to have him play.
Well, no, I don't think that should drive anything. I think your point is valid that if you're going to do it right before the Dodgers series. But they had the day off today. I mean, this is that time of the year. Mike Shildt said, "This is what we play for," and Michael's correcting me. We are off on Monday, so. I could have sworn we played LA Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but thank you, Michael, for correcting me.
Because that's a 2-day off thing. I mean, that's if you take off Sunday, then they're off on Monday.
Well, it means more now if you wanted to do that. But again, I get nervous, towards giving guys day off at this time of the year just to, give them a breather. Here's what I'll say.
But Mike Shildt
has even said, but Mike Shildt has even said, no, this is what we played for, to put ourselves in this position. Everybody's on board. Everybody's going to do whatever it takes to get, to get us there. So I just don't see days off coming unless you're talking the last day of the season or something like, where, we've already clinched the home field advantage of the wild card or the division or whatever it is. So
fair enough.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
it. We'll be back next Thursday
with Jay,
hopefully. And thanks for everyone who joined us in the chat. Oz, I'm a little disappointed. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. And hit us up on the comments, folks. We appreciate all the comments as we're doing the podcast, but also if you're listening to this later, add some comments. Me and Jack are usually pretty good about replying or anything that you're concerned about. And share and subscribe and all that fun stuff. Yeah. Well, that's all we got, Jerry. I'll see you probably in about 30 seconds. Okay. Yeah. All right. You can walk from the other room. There you go. Bye, everybody. Bye, everybody.